watching you play ball for so long. You know
And I don't want to buy
my daughters to do that. And I ain't mad they didn't go that route. My oldest daughter, she plays guitar, she can sing, she sucks.
Oh, shit.
So then my youngest daughter, she is swimming and wrestling, which I don't know what else she got that shit. Because I didn't wrestle. I was really, yeah, so I'm not mad, but that's the thing about the young ladies nowadays.
What grade?
My oldest daughter, she's about to graduate this year. My youngest is a junior. So she's
Where?
They live in South Carolina now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they lived here. They used to go to not Country Day, but it's in Michigan, State Line. They used to State Line for a while. It's a nice school. You know, I was trying to get them to go to like Maumee Valley. They were like, and I was like, and I'm like, come on, man. Because you know, I'm like, we both from the east side. We're like, no, that's not.
No, I went
So
to.
I live with this I know Floyd.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got family. John's wife she works at Star. She got a lot of contacts there.
Oh, okay.
I know she got married. We're bringing them up. And I was like, you know what? I don't like my kids living on the side, but
At the same
it's
time.
different.
Yeah, it's good for you.
I understand that.
It's hard. You know? I mean, they're doing good down there. My oldest is gonna come back and live with me. My youngest is gonna stay there. So.
I like that. You're right. There's so many connections. I cover, so I'm a BCSN commentator.
Okay.
And
Really?
So,
Damn.
and so I've been following Anthony. I actually was in Akron 3 times this week. God.
Okay.
After work, I would drive to Akron 3 times. I was like, God.
You a busy woman, man.
Oh my God, I am. But I have a whole family at home. But we were just going to start because they were in the regionals, and their assistant coach Laura, she like runs my shooting clinics and everything for Next Play, and she's always been my assistant since I moved back.
Okay.
So there are so many connections, right?
It is. It really
James,
is.
my cousin, like it's just.
Man, that's great, man.
Doing BCSN and all that, like I have all these relationships with coaches and players, and having all these AAU teams, it's really beneficial.
What I like about you did is, you know, you got done playing ball and you went into coaching. Now I remember when you graduated, like a lot of girls, like Sharice is assistant coach at each team, which is great. I'm good friends with her family and stuff like that. I'd like to see girls go back, even guys, go back and get back to the community and go back and help the young kids out, because we need a lot more role models. We need a lot of the coaches when you were coaching, they're going to retire. So somebody's got to fill that void. And so that's...
So at Maumee Valley, I created an all-female staff because I was coached by men that didn't understand us. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So like the news came out.
Hey, I don't see that them wings.
I
don't see them wings in front of you yet, Mike.
For women, all women. It's like,
Maybe he'll get the breakfast first.
We were given an opportunity.
crazy
Now it's our
burger.
time. So I prayed. I'm like, allow me to use all my gifts before I get to you.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get to you and say I still have gifts left to give back.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, we have this, that, and third. And when you say you've been I'm always like, what can we do to make sure these kids, it's not about us anymore.
It's not. It's about setting up the next generation. And that's what it is. Me being the team leader on the job for 17 years. I waited till the time was right for me to move.
Is that new on to me?
Instead of being a regular
That's
driver,
just our special
me
this weekend.
to lead as a supervisor position. So it's kind of like you go back into the lab and figure out what you want to do that way. Because this generation is different. They don't. I'm 47, so I'm built different. Like I'm all about bettering myself, but I'm putting in the work. And I've been doing it. That's why I've been at the job for so long.
Have we started yet?
What's good, everybody? It's your man Neal here, host of Live from the Nickel. We are at JD's Bar for the 1-year anniversary. I got a crazy special guest. This young lady is a dog, like in the city, just doing everything she's supposed to do, from playing basketball in high school, going to the next level, and now she coaching, got the AU thing popping up. I'm just chopping up a little bit about that. But before I get into the guests, you know what I'm saying, we are sponsored by Divine Printing and School Matters. You guys check it out. Like I said, check out School Matters. If y'all want the hoodies, y'all hit me on Facebook. We got y'all live every day, all day. So just hit me up on Facebook. I'll get you the hoodies. You see I got the mug popping off right here. We ain't playing, you know what I'm saying? That's what we do with the mug game. G, what's up, baby?
What's going on, man?
We kind of got busy last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And then, another great weekend, as usual.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Every day
sir.
above ground's a good day.
Exactly.
Mr. Brown's going back to work tomorrow. How do you feel about that?
Like I said, we'll get into that, man. a little later in the episode, but yeah, I'm ready.
Where do you work?
Christ. Yeah, so we'll get into that, like I said, a little bit into the episode.
Okay. And y'all see next to Mr. Brown,
Yes.
the beautiful Miss Amanda.
It's Amanda.
You know what I'm saying? Running the bar at JD's, that's what she do. This is her home front. Like I said, it wouldn't have been for her. We wouldn't have had this 1 year anniversary from Amanda. Let us come into the establishment last year. So thank you very much.
And we got a nice full busy bar to see us.
Oh man, so we got a packed house because we got a great guest.
She's been taking care of us, too.
Yeah, exactly. We got a packed house and we got a great guest. So we're gonna get busy with this. Before I get to my guest and tell you about my guest, I feel like I know this young lady forever. But we gotta give a shout out to Gene Hackman's family. He passed away at 95 years old. And we lost a great pioneer, Angie Stone. Car accident, and that's sad. 60 years old. And I always want to, give a little love to that, give flowers to those people because they were a tremendous actor and a tremendous singer. And she did her thing, and he did his thing in the movies and stuff like that. So we always want to pay homage to the people like that because without them, we wouldn't be who we are. So that's one thing. Like I said, my guest on. Let me just dig into the crates. I mean, me and Miss Amanda and Don, third time's a charm. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna hold against you. Because you know what? You a busy woman. I understand it. No hard feelings. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? So this girl, not even girl, young lady, just impeccable digging the crates about her. So she started off at Northfield, okay? 4-letter scholar out there hooping, doing her thing. If y'all don't know who she is, y'all go at the end of this podcast, you're gonna know who she is. Because she is the real deal Holyfield. One of the coldest interviews. I think if you go back into the archives and watch women's basketball like Rebecca Lobo and them like she reminded me of Rebecca Lobo, Dawn Staley back in the day. She had the J-work, rebound. She put up double-doubles all the time. Went to Norfolk, like I said, she did her thing. She averaged like 16.7 a game, 9.8 rebounds a game. The girl was a double-double machine. They should have just gave her 10. I don't know why they didn't. Then when she got done with that 4 years there, did her thing there, then she went to Akron. Stop. If I mess up, let me know.
No, you got you.
Okay.
You know me better than me.
Okay. She went to Akron, was putting up crazy numbers against TU, anybody in the MAC, was tearing it up. Whatever, she felt like maybe Akron, I don't want to be at Akron no more, so she set out a season. 2005, 2000, no, am I right? Well, no, you set out one season. You set it because the NCAA rules, what you got to do. But guess what? She got back. She went to Bowling Green and started just running through people, tearing them up. Just anybody that came to Bowling Green, she was putting in work. She told me she was a roommate with a young lady that I know her father and stuff. They was putting up numbers, and I watched her put up numbers doing that. After she got done playing basketball, I was like, man, this girl got crazy archives. She said, I ain't done yet. Started coaching, helping out the youth. She's the head basketball coach at Maumee Valley. I'm glad to have her on. She got a little AU thing going on. You guys, everybody in the city, I want y'all to stand up and show this young lady some love. Niki McCoy, welcome to the Nickel, baby. That's what you do.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was probably the best introduction I've ever heard in my life,
Absolutely.
and I can appreciate it.
Man,
Thank
listen, you got to give people their flowers.
Thank you.
And one thing about you is, I watched you play, and you never like half step. You always gave 100%. And then I was reading about the AU thing you're doing. You're doing such a beautiful thing, what you're doing with the young youth. Before we go into your life story, Nick, let me get that special gift from my young lady friend over here. Let me get that hoodie for her. You know what I'm saying? So you are part of the Nickel family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So that is a gift. We all, me, Don, and Amanda. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you do.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Oh, I should have worn this.
No, you good. You wear it whenever you want to.
I love it. I'm wearing Damo from Kitchen Plays.
No, you
I'm
good.
wearing her stuff today. She does her thing too. But
Yeah, no, you
I
good.
love this. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for showing it coming up. Look, like I said, the first time we hit miss. I think today was the best day, anyways, because of the 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
So it worked out well for
Right.
all three of
I
us.
agree.
Yes.
So, Mr. Brown, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Man, you tapped on it already, man. All the accolades, you know, former player of the year, former All-State. She's a developer of the game, you know, teaching the youth now. That's just one thing I want to know. How did you become so passionate of the game?
Okay.
Question.
So I think a lot of people need to try everything, do everything,
Yes.
and decide not what you're good at, but what you enjoy, right? I played every sport. I've done soccer, everything you can imagine. I've done trumpet, right? Art. Basketball, I wasn't necessarily good when I started, but my dad was coaching me, and I just felt like it was fun. I didn't start until 5th or 6th grade. My parents never pushed me into it, but I said, hey, I want to keep doing this. And then people started recognizing, oh, you might be somebody we can develop. And I had a lot of really, really good people around me that said, we're going to take the time to develop you. And I guess that's where my passion lies, because at that point, when you have people just doing it, you want to make sure that they feel appreciated and their work was acknowledged, right? So then you work as hard as you can. You said 100% all the time.
Absolutely.
Because the people that were developing me gave me 100%. So my passion really developed just from being developed, if that makes sense. And then when I became good, it was like I was already ready to play, but then my first radio interview after the Central Catholic game, I was a sophomore. I remember being like, oh my God, you guys want to talk to me? What? Me? I had guarded Ellen Herman. I don't think I had any points, but I played defense on this girl who was probably All-State herself, and I'm a sophomore. And I was just like, man, I like being acknowledged. What can I do to continue to be in that space? What can I do to continue putting my team in that space? So then it just became a thing of like, I'm a very competitive person. How can I make myself the best at whatever I do?
And you did that. And,
Absolutely.
you know, you not only played one position, 1 through 4. I mean, so
I'm telling you.
So that, I'm not gonna lie, that's Kurt Miller, the BG coach. He was recruiting me. He said, I can't let you play as a 5 in college. You're not big enough. I'm like, what? But he was right. So I left All Ohio Black AAU and I played for a really small church league. Shout out to Coach Tucson and Coach Mays and Coach King, because they allowed me to go from a 5 to a 1 and get the ball stolen from me 50 times a game for a whole summer. But then I came back to my high school team and I went from being the starting 4 going to States my junior year to playing 1 through 4 my senior year at States. And then same in college, you can play 38 minutes out of 40 a game because you can play every position.
right.
Yep.
And like Neal opened up, me going back to work. That's why I say we'll save this for later. But looking you up, you're my motivation to go back to work. I'm talking about a knee injury, and you went through a spinal injury.
Yes.
So that is crazy. So
Thank you.
there's no complaints on my end going back to work, man. So I just want to commend you from working through that spinal injury and doing your thing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Honestly, anybody, I would say if you have a gunshot wound or a paper cut, if it's the worst thing you've experienced, that is hell. I'm sorry, I can't cuss. That is terrible. So regardless of whatever it is, if it's something that's held you back, I wish you luck when you return.
Yeah.
My spinal cord, I was told I would never walk again, right? And I said, bet, got this, I'm competitive. I changed my diet for my injury. I went and I did boxing and whatnot to keep my conditioning and everything in shape. And then I did a 3 days of rehab for a year and a half and didn't walk. And then came back and said, let's go play semi-pro and see what happens. And I did that for 2 seasons. I have a spinal cord stimulator implant. My doctor said, are you crazy? You won't walk in 5 years if you keep doing this, but here we are, right?
Right.
So it just shows.
pushing.
Yeah, and I'm not telling anybody to push through and come back earlier from doctors said what they say. Don't get me to telling folks to not do what their doctor says. I just know for me, it worked out. So.
I want to thank you. That's my motivation.
That's a great motivation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Miss Amanda, what's up?
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, you've touched on so much that she's done and she's accomplished. It's incredible. I'm really excited to learn more about your Next Play AAU, like your high-level coaching for girls. I think that's incredible. And also, I would like to know what would you tell your younger self now?
Oh my gosh.
About going into women's and girls basketball, because I've just noticed in the last few years, honestly, because working in the sport business for a long time, it was like I put the girls basketball on and turn that off. That's boring. I don't want to watch that. Now everybody wants me to put that on the TVs, and I think that that's incredible.
Absolutely.
And I think that women's and girls basketball has come such a long way, and you're one of the people that I think is responsible for that. Honestly, because of what you've been able to do and like what girls have seen you do is a real inspiration.
So I appreciate that. My next play business, an AAU program, is solely because I was told, hey, somebody can't hold, a certain team for a certain grade level, and I said, sure, I'll create a team. That year, we had tryouts, 4 teams were created, and I was over my head. I said, oh my god.
Wow.
And then the next year, we had tryouts, and we had 12 teams, and I said, what happened? Now we've just continued to grow. So what I would say to my younger self is the whole reason I created Next Play, right? I had a lot of pressure on myself from a lot of different outside entities, from my own self. I was getting sick before and after games, whatnot. I was always kind of pushed, and there was never an attention to my mental health. So when I went to college, I lost. This is a turning point for me. I was a freshman, leading scorer, rebounder, assist, everything. Missed the game-winning shot at Ball State. Ended up in the hospital. Everybody thought I was like appendix burst, all this. No, I was just stressed. So my coach made me talk to a sports psychologist, and I will thank that coach every day of my life because it changed everything for me. The way I talk to myself, the way I interact, my intentionality. And so at that point, I said, wow, we have so many kids coming up that start very young. I started in 5th and 6th grade, right? They are starting at kindergarten.
Oh, yeah.
And the amount of pressure that builds over years, I'm asking, how are we not having a focus? There's a buzzword around mental health. And a lot of teams and programs say, we focus on that. We have a mental health curriculum, you have paperwork, you have a Mindset Matters folder, because before any X's and O's, your head has to be in it. You have to create the same type of training routine that you do for your body, for your brain, right? And so like after I talked to my sports psychologist, I scored 1,000 points in 3 seasons. Just because people don't understand, they think you sit around and do kumbaya in a circle. No, you unlock different parts of your confidence and ability, and you go out on the court, and even if you make a mistake, the reason we're called Next Play is if you make a mistake, short-term memory loss, get it back on the next play.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is
That
the
plays
whole
over with.
reason.
Move on to the next play.
And I didn't have that for a long time. My coach at the States, I stood over a girl after I got an and one, and I went nuts. My coach pulled me out and was like, dude, you're a McDonald's All-American nominee. They are not going to vote for you for anything if you do that. And I said, okay, you're right. Let me calm down.
Right.
I'm just too competitive and passionate. I've been kicked out of every co-ed league I've ever been in. So fight men. For what though? It's a game,
It
right?
is. It is.
It should be
But
something
you
that
wear your
grows
heart
you.
on your sleeve. That's what I watched about you playing. Amanda, that was good questions. I love that. That was good. When I watched you play, you remind me of the girls playing now. You play with the heart, you know what I'm saying? I watched you in the paint. Like Don said, you played 4 different positions.
Right.
I was a shooting guard. That's all I did. I didn't like to play down low, but I watched you bang against the best of the best of the best. You always gave 100%. Now, what the girls' game now today is so explosive, and that's what reminded me. I feel like you could play in the game right now.
Oh my God.
I know, but I know we're a little bit older. Father time is, it's working against us. But what I'm saying is, if you watch the girls now, you was like them.
Thank you.
You was like them, and that's what I said. Like you, Yolanda, Cherise, a lot of girls that from this area, from Toledo, we had some great ball players. Now, before your time, I can tell you some names too. But what I watched about you guys around that era, it was just blooming. Like you had Kate Octor, you guys had Ben Rosberg sits down in Philly. I mean, it was so much talent in the city and outside the city. You guys were just doing your thing, and I love watching you guys play. The women's game has evolved so much better now, and I love it. I really do. But more importantly, I love what you are doing after basketball. You said, I'm going to give my knowledge to these young people, and that's what we need. We need those people like you, like any coach that played basketball overseas or anything, and they came back and gave to them. That knowledge is what we need, and that's what it is, because I'm sure your coach is probably from North, he's probably retired, right?
Oh, actually.
He's still coaching?
He's still up in Michigan, I think Onstead, on the boys' side.
Cut it out.
Which
Okay,
is funny,
Jared.
because I was a a boys varsity head coach before I ever coached girls.
Really?
Yeah.
You was coaching the boys first.
Yeah. Oh,
Man, stop
yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
You was coaching the boys.
I lived in Chicago and I commuted to Gary, Indiana because I was a social worker. And the boys on the team, I felt like weren't necessarily focused on the next level.
Okay.
So I said, let me coach them. And I did. And no man would coach with me. So I would have to drive behind the bus because I can't be the only girl on the bus. I would have to bring security guards in the locker room because I can't be in the locker room alone with the boys. It was wild, but it was probably one of the most transformative experiences I've ever had. And then I had to learn how to chill out when I came back and coach girls.
Right.
It's a little different ball game, right?
That's a different level coaching men. But you know what? That's a breaking the barrier. Becky Hammond did that. You know what I'm saying? She did that with, the men's coaching behind Pop and everything else. So I commend you on that because you don't see that a lot. But you got to, like you said, you're going to get out there and get your feet wet. You got to get it.
I was the only woman in the state of Indiana to be a Butler City Boys head coach.
Wow.
And what I will say is, there are so many talented women. You have Misha Green, who's at Scott. You have
I know she
Tiffany
is, yes.
Blackman, double, back-to-back, coach
Yeah.
of the year. And I'm over here begging her, come over to the next play, help me develop these kids, right? You have a lot of women. Brittany Simbonin that just
Yes.
left Evergreen.
Yes.
You have all these women that are talented, but there's a lot of men. I mean, Jerry Sigler's phenomenal. He was just the gym coach and said, hey, why don't I coach?
Right.
We have a lot of women that have all this knowledge and talent, and nobody understands that when you coach women, we are in a different ball game. We can't do some things that the men can do. We can do some things that men can't do.
Right.
And being able to acknowledge that, and then also be able to relate to them on a different level. Nobody understands this, but even, and I'm not going to be, I'm sorry, when we're on our cycles, we're at a higher risk for ACL tears.
Yes.
So our diet and our body management is different. And I just think that more women, I mean, that's why at Mommy Valley I created an all-women staff. And I'm the only all-women staff in the area because we can relate differently and we can develop differently. So no hate to the men that are doing this because there are phenomenal men doing this.
Yes,
I just
yes.
think there are more women that should be acknowledged. I was just covering the Anthony Wayne Regionals on BCSN, and it was 4 women referees, right? And they did a phenomenal job, and a diverse group, 2 black women, 2 white women. I loved it. And they rep the game probably better than I've ever seen.
Nice.
So there's a lot of women that should be doing this. I go to the district final meetings, or the district 7 meetings, and then there's 2 women that coach when you list the whole women's side, right? So I want to be in a space where I bring more women into the space, and I have women coaching women, and then the right men coaching women that can acknowledge, like, I'm a woman running a program.
Right.
I have a lot of men that have to kind of go up and answer to me.
Right.
Everybody in my program respects my attention to prioritizing mindsets and mental health, right?
Right.
And my AD at Mommy Valley, he's a man. And he's like, Nikki, I love what you're doing. Let's keep going. So I'm not going to say there aren't men that don't support and appreciate, right? Because you have to have everybody on a team working, right?
I just look at this thing like it's time. You see the anchor women doing it. I watch women's basketball on Sundays, seeing the women step in their game up. They doing that, they're anchoring it. They're not playing ball anymore, so now they get on to be a news anchor, which is great. You want them to commentate and all that stuff, and that's what we need more of. I mean, you can't just be a pretty face, but you got to know the game.
Yes.
And that's what the game has evolved so much better with the women. Diane Taurasi just retired. Me and Mr. Brown was talking about that other day. So legend. White mama, Kobe gave her that name. Like I said, when that time comes for you, after she hung it up, you're going to be that type of person. Tiffany Blackman over about, she's coming in a couple weeks with us. Angel Reese. I want to pay homage to all the women coaches. Amanda, me, Mr. Brown. We're going to show y'all love. And that's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, women need to be recognized more. I agree with daughters. I always tell them, like, you can be whatever you want to be. You put your mind to it. And that's having you on here to explain your journey, where you came from and where you're going. So, me, Don, and Amanda, we want to thank you for coming on there, because you're doing a terrific job. So, my question to you, in the women's game now, women's basketball game now, what do you like about it?
I like the fact that, I have Lords players, UT players on my staff at Mommy Valley, at Next Play.
Okay.
Nan Garcia, Samuel Conowitz, Nadine Gemma, Macy Stringfellow, all these players. I go to their games. I watch them.
Okay.
And for you to say I can play it, I thank you. Because I'm always like, I could never. My God. I
think you get about 5-6 points. Come on now.
Maybe.
I got a hip replacement. I know I'm done, but I know if somebody put a rim out there, come on, man. If we open gym, I know you can get about 10 points.
Look, I'm too competitive. I will play in my 7th, 8th grade high school practices and block everybody. I don't care.
Oh, look, see?
Ooh, I don't care.
She got that go.
Right.
I will say, I look at these games and I text my mom one day at the UT game like, my God, I could never. What? I'm looking at Sammy, Nan, and I'm like, geez Louise. Oh my God. I had my 7th grade gold team last year, and I used to tell everybody, like, they have more control and balance and IQ than I even had as a senior in high school. My goodness. So what I like about the women's game is we are showing what we're capable of, right?
Absolutely.
And when I say we, I say all women, right? We have women leading the helm, right? And coaching women. They're going to now be coaching the next generation. You have girls that are so passionate about the game, and they're allowed to be emotional. I was an emotional, passionate player, and I love it.
Okay.
But then you have girls doing things like Euro steps. You have girls dunking. You have girls shooting threes from logos. But then you also have girls that have high IQ.
Absolutely.
So whoever's developing them, they must have had someone that really understood the game, because not everybody can just have that naturally. Absolutely. No. And you have to create those defaults. So I love the attention to detail, the actual level of skill, not just I'm lobbing the ball wherever.
Right.
It is dynamic. There are different defensive sets. There are different offensive sets. And a lot of teams don't even play a lot of plays. It's transition.
Yes.
That means
yes.
you are naturally an athlete, and naturally a ball player. So the excitement comes from, yeah, there's a 30-second shot clock, but how often do you even see that shot clock go off? Because they're playing so fast-paced.
They move.
Very fast-paced.
Yes.
So it's at the same level as men.
Yeah.
And a lot of the men's game is turning into a highlight reel.
Yeah.
But you see women, which, again, there are great men out there. We're not. You're seeing the women be able to elevate, but then also actually play the game of basketball.
Right.
And that's what I love. I dissect it, I analyze it, I study it. And I think that's why I'm a very busy person. I'm stretched a little thin. However, I'm always in spaces that I love because I'm in basketball spaces. And if I can see folks develop that IQ level at a young age and keep growing from there, I love it. We have players of the year that are in our program. Cool. What's your next goal? Because you got player of the year, but what would you have gotten in the league over here? Would you have gotten a player of the year? Or I ask every player I coach, do you want to play in college, or do you just want to be a really good high school player? Because that's a different style of coaching for those players.
Absolutely.
I think more coaches should ask that question, because then you coach with intentionality. Absolutely. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I
Now,
like that.
Niki, since you transitioned from player to coach, is it one coaching style that you mimic, or you got your own flow, or?
So I'm going to be very honest. Jerry Sigler, my high school coach, and I did not get along. Oh my God! I think during a district final game, he was yelling at me, and I threw the ball out of bounds at his head, and I said, "You do it."
Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. You threw the ball at his head.
I think I did.
Come on, Niki, come on.
I'm telling you, I'm a little crazy. Okay.
Please do not make her mad, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not make her mad.
So we didn't get along. I will say though, when I started coaching, I recognized he's a really great coach. He's a phenomenal coach. He's a genius. And I took a lot of what I do from him, but then I said, how can I also make it so kids have the mental health aspect? So I paired what I wanted to do with it.
Right.
Then, when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, him and I sat next to each other. And I was like, whoa, this is the first time I've seen him. I don't think I've invited him to my college signing. Oh my God. This is my first time seeing him. So when I saw him and we sat next to each other, we had this great conversation. His wife, she used to work me out and have me lift, and she could do one-arm push-ups. Loved her, right? So we sat next to each other, we reminisced, and we kind of talked about, I hated you, I didn't like you either, probably.
Right. Feeling was mutual.
And ever since then, we've been able to build this bond. He told me one day, I have 45 years of coaching, knowledge, paperwork, plays, handwritten notes, and it's all divided into a tote and hanging folders. And he said, I've never given it to anyone, I would love to give it to you. I said, no way. We met up and he gave it to me and I said, oh my God, I need 2 people to carry.
So full circle.
Right.
It's like such a full circle moment.
So I have it now, and I'm likely gonna laminate all of it and create a big book called The Sigler.
Right,
Because he's a genius coach. When I looked through it, even his parent contracts and player contracts, I was like, yes, why aren't we doing this anymore? So I will say I mimic a lot of him.
Okay.
I mimic a lot of just and this is probably very cliche, the way Dawn Staley cares about the mental health and like the well-being of her players. And if you've ever heard Kara Lawson, when we talk about broadcasters, Kara Lawson has said, handle hard better, right? Your sport should be hard. It shouldn't make you feel low and less than as a human being. However, it should be hard to grow you. So how do we handle hard better? It's incorporating a priority with your mindset, your mental health, and caring for you, but then saying, but now run 35 sprints, right? I make my kids run a mile in down and backs, but you have to break down the math, and you have to have academic standing, and you have to have perseverance, and you have to understand, I don't care if you walk, but you have to move your feet. Handle hard better, right? So I take a lot of different things from different people, but I think more coaches should take a lot of that. And in my AAU program, I have 17 coaches that I go to their practices. I don't care if they're a college player, a veteran coach. I learn something different from everybody every day. And we have to acknowledge that we don't know everything. And if we want to be better as players, we tell everybody, even if you're at the college level, pro level, you have to keep training. As coaches, you have to keep training, you have to keep learning, and you have to keep evolving. So bring everybody else in you can learn from. Don't just expect that everybody has to learn from you. We all have different coaching styles. Nobody has to be like me. I want to be more like, trust, I'm never going to change. Ever. I get too many technicals. I've been injected. I don't care. But, however, I will acknowledge all of these great coaches or all of these unknown coaches and take different pieces of all of them. So,
It's all part of teamwork. That's what everybody should be doing. It's not a one-person game. Never. It's not a one-person show.
I would be in golf if that was the case.
Right.
So you got so much going on, which is a beautiful thing. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? I know you out of your busy schedule. Like you got a crazy schedule, and I love that you got a crazy schedule. It keeps the mind going. You're not playing ball anymore, but you have so much passion and going into coaching, which is great. So when you watch, like in the women's basketball, what team did you just feel like we're gonna do a bracket coming up, right? Me, Don, and Amanda, we're gonna do a bracket. So in the men's, watching the NCAA in the men's, what team do you feel like is dominant? We're gonna get to the women's later.
So
I'll put homage on the women's later because women they get. I watch the women's more than I watch the men's, but coming from a legend, a true legend, and probably will be a legend in coaching. So I'm picking your brain.
I think on the men's side, when we think about basketball, right? We think about the NCAA. We think about Division I, Division II.
Absolutely.
We have a player at Lords in the WHAC that just got Player of the Year,
Stop.
right?
What?
Yes.
I did not
on
know
the men's
that.
side, and we don't acknowledge those lower levels, right?
We need to know
Yeah.
that. We got to know that. We got to know it. Lords is a great. Dennis Hobson was a great coach there.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
So I mean.
So then when we think about NCAA, right, and we acknowledge that JUCO has now gone from taking NCAA eligibility away, kids are going to start going JUCO before they go D3,
Yes,
before
yes.
they go D2. And then all of those kids are going to fight and scrap to get to the top. And you're going to see a lot of transfers from those lower schools getting up to the NCAA.
Yes.
So a player that just got Player of the Year in the WHAC, the WAC, you might see impacting and developing different teams moving forward. I don't think I have necessarily a great, on the men's side, a team that I'm like, oh my God, they're amazing. I think what I like to do is see, what do you have, who are your younger players? What are they doing?
Okay.
Who's going to be good next year? Are you going to be good for the next 3 years, or are you just good this year?
Okay.
So I like to launch that. I like to acknowledge all of those players that, even with Caitlin Clark, she's an amazing player, but why don't we acknowledge all the players that set screens for her?
Yes.
That
Yes.
did all the
Yes.
work to get her open,
Yes,
right?
yes. Running through the screen, setting the
right,
screens,
right.
doing these things, and that's what we don't. We always talk. Listen, I'm all about the big star. I like Juju, but there's players on that team on USC. They do just a lot to help Juju get over. I want you on that. The role players, without the role players, you can't make it.
I mean, you think about so even Anthony Wayne in this area,
Okay.
going to states, right? You have Elise Bender who scored 2,000 points. Brooke Bender, her twin, scored 1,000 points. But then, if they don't perform, you have multiple kids.
Yes.
Leah Pike, just player of the game last in regional finals because the Benders didn't score a lot. However, they were role players to make sure everybody else made their point. And so when you have everybody else making it work, like the Benders, they still have scorers around them, and you're still scoring that much.
Right.
It's wild. Like everybody occupies a defender at that point. So it's hard to guard.
Yes.
It's hard probably to coach against. I couldn't imagine.
That's tough.
So I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy specific teams on the men's side. On the women's side, heck yes, trust me. But I enjoy, like I said, watching kind of those unspoken and unheard, underrated players.
Okay. I like that. I like that. That's a good way to clean it up because the people that's running, that's setting the picks, getting the rebounds, they don't get the recognition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I like, so that's kind of where you learning the coaching from Jerry at Northview. I see what you're doing now. You're taking that and you're recognizing these young people that's coming up. You ain't got to be the star. You're a star still if you're setting the pick, getting the rebound. People forget that's the fundamentals of the game. You know what I'm saying? Rebounding, Dennis Rodman showed you that.
Right.
He led the league rebounding all the time. And for the Pistons. But if we go back to when he was in JUCO, he was a scorer. But when he got to the Pistons, I know my role. My role is to rebound, box out. That's what I do. That's where the art of the game. That's where we come in. That's where Blackman come in. That Reach comes in. You guys know the game. You guys are better in the game. And you guys can translate that to these young folks. What they need that structure more than anything. Because, it's cool to have a little one-on-one and stuff like that. Basic basketball break your back. I know that. Watching and playing, when I was playing, basic basketball, moving around, back doors, that'll hurt you. You got one person try to go one-on-one. Your game was different. You open floor, you could bring the ball down. Come on, man. There's not a lot of women that can do what you was doing. So I like what you're doing in the coaching aspect, teaching these young ladies and young men, whatever, that you don't got to be the star. That's cool. That's a beautiful thing.
Right.
I'm telling you.
I tell kids, I don't care how many points you score ever. Find ways to stay on the court.
Absolutely.
Find
Absolutely.
ways. What can you do to stay on the court?
Right.
I have players all day, every day that I'm very honest. I'm very direct. If you couldn't tell, I will tell you.
I like that.
You are slow. I'm gonna tell you. You are never going to be faster than the person that's defending you or that you're defending. But how can you use your IQ to still beat them, to still break them down,
Right.
to still stop them, right? I don't care if you have 0 points, all right? But did your opponent have 0 points? How is it a competition between, not even you and that person, it's a competition between me and myself intrinsically, internally. I'm never, ever, and this is bad, this is why I'm crazy. Even if you might get a step on me, I'm tripping you before you score. I'm never, that's my ego and pride. I'm never gonna say you outbeat me. I'll find a way. Even in practice or tryouts last night, we have high school kids ripping for the ball and they're looking at me for jump. No. It's not a jump ball. It's a rip it, figure it out. Who comes up with it?
Absolutely.
Like that's my stage, right?
Right.
I'm never gonna have a ref tell me it's somebody else. I'm gonna let you know it's my ball.
Right.
That's just how I operate. But then I will say hello, sir, thank you, and I'll give him the ball because I'm always gonna be polite to a ref. But when I play, I'm crazy.
No, that's a good coach and a good competitor.
Right.
It's that competitive heart and competitive spirit.
Thank you.
That's great.
Whoops.
So we got a new segment. It's called the nickel moment. Me and Mr. Brown was sitting down. Miss Amanda's always working. She's probably one of the hardest working bartenders in Toledo. One of the best. She's.
You have been phenomenal.
She's a god what she does. I've been around been at different bars. Ain't nobody can do what she does. And I have to give her flowers always for that because without her, we wouldn't be where we at now. Going to the next level with me and Don, we're doing it in the garage or my house. So the nickel moment is like this. What was a changing point in your life, Nikki? There's got to be a changing point. So it's like epiphany. Like, what was that moment? It could be when you left basketball and went to coaching or whatever. What was a changing point in your life?
So I'm going to be, again, very honest.
Oh, we like that.
Very,
we want
very
you to be
honest.
honest.
So, At Bowling Green,
Okay.
we were, I think we're 29-4 this season.
29-4.
We were crushing it. We beat Syracuse, and I think it put us the longest home winning streak in the nation.
Okay.
Went out. There was a bar in BG in the neighborhood. I didn't want to leave my car there because I didn't want to get tickets, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to park it around the street. I got pulled over because they were like, you didn't turn your turn signal on. Had me do a breathalyzer, blew a .09. 0.08 is the legal limit. Wow. In my head, like, okay. And even asked if you had a drink. I said, I'm over 21. Yeah, but I'm not intoxicated. Cool. Ended up charging me with a DUI.
Stop.
Yeah. So he said to me, you athletes think you can do whatever you want. I said, oh no, I was still in my travel gear. I said, oh no, never that.
Right.
Went to sleep, got phone calls from my coaches and ADs, parents, everything that morning, because it was all over the radio.
Okay.
It was a scroll on the news. It was in the USA Today. The day before, I had been all over the front page for great accolades from BG.
I didn't see that part, so I'm gonna let you know that.
No, you're fine.
It's all good.
Google
Right.
finally pushed it back. Thank God. I've been trying for a minute, and
Right.
it's now maybe on page 3. Thank God. But I'm always very honest about it, right?
Yes.
You can make mistakes.
Right.
They said to me, we're going to make an example because you're an athlete. However, took whatever punishment I had, set up for game, took my running, but my AD of Bowling Green, they called me into the office and they said, Niki, we've never received so many, letters in support of an athlete ever. Because at that time I was like doing I was repping for the youth league, I was in Boys and Girls America, doing a lot of stuff. And the community support in the outreach to be like, she's a great person, she just made a mistake, I think that's what changed everything for me. And that's what made me be like, hey, community is part of everything you do. You can be a great athlete, but it means nothing if you don't have community.
Yes.
And so at that point, that's when I said, I do want to give back. I pray every day, and I say I always want to tell God when I get there, I want to make sure I don't have any more gifts left. You gave me all these gifts, I should use them before I meet you. But I was given gifts because of other people provided them for me. So I said, at this point, I need to acknowledge my community and give back. And that's when I was like, hey, let's coach, let's do this, let's do that. Let's make sure we're meeting people where they're at. So I'm very honest, right? I will always use that as a learning moment to say, you can make mistakes. Don't make the same mistake twice, please.
Yes.
Even when I'm coaching, cool. You made that mistake, I'm fine. Don't make it again. Tell my kids that too. So if you don't make the same mistake twice, but you learn from it, and then you figure out a way forward to figure out how to then take those lessons and give it back, I think that's what's most important. So that's my mom said to me at that point, you never know how famous you are until you get in trouble. Right. And I said, oh my, that's right. Because I think it was on the scroll for like 2 weeks on the news. My parents were getting voicemails at home. And so my AD said, you have to handwrite letters back to everyone that's written into you. So they would leave letters in my locker for after practice. They would print them from emails, from things that were sent in. And I said, oh my God, this does not stop, but also thank you. So yeah, that's where everything changed for me. It's not an individual sport. It's not an individual accomplishment. It's everybody. And if you ever look at interviews I've ever done, states and everything, I always acknowledge my team. My teammates would say, stop talking about us. You did this and third, I don't care. I didn't do it by myself. Promise you that. So yeah, that was my turning point, if I'm being honest.
I mean, and if you think about that turning point, that is a great turning point.
Right, it is.
I mean, because honestly, and Dennis Hobson said it to us last week, you might be a famous athlete, but you're still a normal person. He said it so well where you're not above everybody else. You're just like everybody else. And I like that because that's a humble thing. And I think we have to go through things to appreciate what we have. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Life is about cause and effect. I've always said, that's one of my things I always say, cause and effect. If you don't get in trouble, you don't know how to accept it. You have to get in trouble. I'm not saying to go out and do something stupid,
right.
But what I'm saying is when you get in trouble, I think life will let you go down a different road in life. You'll get a rude awakening. it's if you accept that. And I think with you, all of us been up here. We might have did stuff when we were dumb and whatever else. And you wake up and like, okay, either I'm gonna go down this way or I'm gonna go down that way. And you decided to go down that way, but you needed that. And that's another notch to tell who you are as a person. And people need to know that you're not a squeaky clean person. You make mistakes just like everybody else. You veered off the path, but then you went back and got on the path and went down the right way. And that's why you're doing what you're doing. And I have to commend you on that. You know, that's a beautiful thing. Like I said, I followed you. I followed a lot of good basketball players, and I'm like, yo, that's what's up. I think these young people need that. Me and Don, we talk about it all the time. Before we started this podcast, when I brought man on here, we need that. When I told her about you coming on, she was like, oh my God, her just accomplishments she did. Not just basketball, everything you've done. From where you started and where you're going. Having a great coach, threw a ball at his head, but it's all good on some Bob Knight shit.
Right.
But I think he was trying to bring the best out of you.
Yes, always.
And that's what it is. And I think a lot of these young people don't understand that. You know, they're bringing it. That's old school stuff. You know, I had a great coach when I was hooping, and he would, you know, you got to find out where you want to go. And they bring that out of you. And if you want that to come out of you, they're going to bring it out of you. And that's what I think what Jerry did with you. He brought that out of you. And look what the person you became.
Yeah. I mean, he taught me a lot. Not even that, but I played with players at Northview that I think there were almost 6 scholarship athletes, whether it was track, soccer, basketball, and you learn and grow. And that's what I'm saying. When I was a sophomore getting a radio interview, I'm like, look at all these kids above me. Oh my God, you put me. And that's I think what I love about BCSN.
Yes.
I get to talk about all these kiddos because I coach them. They're in my program, and I'm like, I see what you can do. I see all the little things you're doing, and we need to talk about that. And then when people do get in trouble or make mistakes, that's, again, next play, that mentality. It might not, it correlates on the court, but it also correlates in life. How do we then get it back on that next play? If you make a mistake, if you have something that sets you back, if you have an injury, how do we get it back on that next play? So even in my tryouts for 5th through 8th grade last week, high school this week, there is a motivational speaker and mental health speaker that they have to go to.
Yeah, okay.
Because in my program, when I tell you we do mental health and mindset work, it's real. So even in tryouts, you're going to go have that. And thank God I have Terry Crosby, Jason Dixon, Liza Simrell that are able to come do this for our kiddos and that want to collaborate, because it's like, hey, how do we really allow kids to make mistakes? If we tell you, hey, you missed a shot, make the next one, why are we saying that in life too? And a lot of coaches just focus on the trophies and, like we mentioned, accolades. I don't even know. I've been second coaching, people will send me stuff. I'm like, I've never even seen that. I don't even see clips on myself. I don't know. I don't care. A lot of people were like, when you start a next play, you have to tell people your resume so that you can actually get kids in your program. I don't even know my resume, and I don't like doing it. I will highlight everybody else's. I don't want to necessarily highlight myself at that point, because I don't think it's about me anymore. I think it's about them.
Yes.
And how we motivate and cultivate them. And I have Nan Garcia, Sammy McCoy to play at UT that coached for me. How do we make sure that you are set up to be coaches for the next generation, right? Even if you make mistakes.
Right.
And like Dennis Hobson said, we are humans.
Yes.
We literally,
Yes.
I mean, Nan Garcia plays in a game and then shows up to my Mommy Valley games, or, you know, she's doing everything. And it's like, these are real people.
Yeah.
So I think that piece of just acknowledging that we are humans and we can have real lives and make mistakes is so important. And we can bounce back and learn from it and develop everybody else around that.
Hey, you know,
Perfectly said. Your downfalls don't have to be the end of the world. Do
Never.
you choose to go down that path, or do you choose to make better
facts.
what's happening?
Facts. All the way. Listen, I can sit here and talk all day with you.
Same, I know.
Yeah, 'cause this, like I said, every time we bring a guest on, I'm excited about it. But with you and Dennis Hobson, Albert Bell, the 3 big guests we ever had on here, I mean, no disrespect to them too. They're good people. Don't get me wrong. But I like what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And I touched back with Albert, and he said the same thing. Same thing with Dennis said. And that's what it's all about. Giving back to the youth out here. That's where it started with your mom and dad. They taught you that. You know what I'm saying? When you was coming up, I know that. I was taught. Mr. Brown was taught like that. Amanda was taught like that.
It's all about that foundation.
Exactly. We can't have all this information and bottle it up. Share this. You gotta share this, and that's what we gotta do. Like I said, if y'all want to see this episode with me, Mr. Brown, Miss Amanda, with Niki McCoy, y'all go to YouTube, y'all check it out. Like I said, she is a fucking legend. I'm gonna cuss on this one. She is a legend in Toledo. I don't care what anybody say, I'm gonna put a stamp on that because this young woman is doing things in the city, and we have to recognize that. And I know that because having the AU thing, that's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate that. You keep it up, we're gonna stay in contact. We're gonna definitely stay in contact because I said this woman is going places. You are like the Dawn Staley of Toledo, Ohio, and they need to be recognized and put a stamp on that. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to keep doing that for any women's coach out here trying to make it better for these young women out here. We need that.
Thank you.
You know, and that's a beautiful thing.
And I just want to acknowledge that what you guys are doing is amazing too. Bringing all these folks. You just said Albert Bell, and that just took me a little bit back
Such
because
a great, humble dude.
my goodness, goodness, everybody. Like I want you guys to all acknowledge that with Dama with Catch and Plays, with you guys with these podcasts, Dan Juan Witcher and his podcast. I think you guys have no idea the impact that you guys have.
Thank you.
I can have tryouts, I can have teams, and you have photographers, videographers, podcasts that want to elevate these kids, expose these kids, coaches, people that are doing things. That is another level of confidence. That's another level of people recognizing. And you said maybe I'm a part of people being excited. If you're only managing this bar and you're putting it on, that's you, right? If you guys are bringing folks into the space, I just think that, like we said, teamwork makes the dream work. This is a team.
Yes.
And I didn't have this. We had JJ Huddle when I was growing up.
Yeah.
My mom would say, "Stay off JJ Huddle. Don't look. They're gonna talk about you." So I wasn't allowed.
Right.
But this is a beautiful thing, and I just want more people to be able to not be like podcasters, but be in the space where they can appreciate it
Yes.
and listen to it, watch it, hear it. I will share everything that y'all are doing, everybody.
Thank you.
And I think it's a beautiful thing. So thank you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, you have to recognize me and Mr. Brown when we started doing this, man. We just want to, you know, me and him, we chop it up. Then we had to go get the best cold barber, the bartender in the city, because she just do so well. But having a woman,
But we would always
like
talk
this-
crap about sports.
yeah,
When I see you anyways.
but she's so good at what it is. And the thing about it is, we giving back. You know what I'm saying? Watching her and watching Mr. Brown doing their thing, recognize real. And you have to recognize that. Mr. Brown always checking me on that, make sure this and this and that. Because we see there's a lot of potential in the city. We get business like any other city. We really do. We have a lot of hidden talent. We're going to bring that to the forefront now.
Please do.
We have to bring it to the forefront.
It's so untapped.
It
I
really is.
go to tournaments all the time with teams that have players from all over the region, and they'll look at me and say, "Oh, number one, you have a UT player on your staff. You're a BC kid. How does that work?" Right? And that's always the first conversation. But then the second one is, "Are all of your kids local?" Yes. Everybody on my teams, they are from this area.
Right.
And that's unheard of when you play travel ball, and they are killing it, winning golds at all of these different tournaments. And it's like nobody recognizes the talent we have here. So that's what this and you guys are doing, right?
Yes.
I mean, I have Ayanna Sawyer, who I think is one of the best guards in this city, and she's about to go into high school right now.
Oh, she nice.
Right? Oh my
she
God.
nice. I researched her. She's nice
Yes.
now.
And
She
then
nice.
it's like, how do we get her that exposure? You bring coaches on, you bring players on. So I think this is how that talent becomes heard of.
Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tap into all the ingrown. Anybody from the city, we're gonna tap in. I'm gonna bring new people in, young people in. With your help, I'm gonna do my part. We're gonna do our part. Not me. We gonna do our part. Because this is a family thing we got going on. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for coming on. I'm so. It's a beautiful thing having you on.
Thank you for my swag.
1 year.
Happy 1 year.
This is 1 year for the podcast.
Cheers, sir. Cheers.
1 year.
Amanda. Mr.
I want
Brown.
With
Cheers.
this special edition,
Congratulations.
this is a beautiful thing for me and Don. You guys want to catch it, go to YouTube, please subscribe, share with your friends. You can see us chopping up with Niki McCoy. Like I said, she's a true legend. I'm going to put a stamp on it. She is a Hall of Famer in my book. And I'm going to give her that. Mr. Brown, Amanda will say the same thing.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, y'all check us out next week. We got Angel Reese coming on. We're going to chop it up with her. We're going to get out of here, live right, do right. Y'all going to be all right.
Peace.